Sports Edge on the early line begins right now. Donnie right side along with Joe Ranieri. The next half hour, we're going to take a look at ways to invest in a stock market-like approach, and that includes Major League Baseball and also the NBA. A lot of good stuff here, Joe, on the horizon for us right here on PME.
It's a good time of year because the
Yeah.
prediction markets, of course, give you a great opportunity to hedge with some of these series coming up here in the playoffs, as well as the NHL championship, the run to the Stanley Cup, and still got a lot going on with Major League Baseball we'll have to keep an eye on as well.
Absolutely. Orlando at Philadelphia tonight. The play-in tournament does continue here on the Kalshi Marketplace. Around $515,000 in volume has been placed with Orlando and Philadelphia, but the Philadelphia 76ers are the favorites, Joe, currently trading at a 53% chance to win this game. Orlando, the underdog, at 47%. Joe told you already he likes the 2.5 points here, getting with the Orlando Magic with a legitimate chance for them to win this game outright, Joe. Orlando at Philadelphia, play in round. The winner gets to move on to the next round.
Yes, they do here. And this is no Embiid is unfortunate for the Sixers here. But that means that the offense has got to come down to a couple of people, right? It's going to have to come down to Maxey. It's going to have to come down to Paul George. And it's going to have to come down to Edgecombe. Now, Maxey's still dealing with a finger issue there, Donnie, that kind of sidelined him for a little while. But the reality is, without Embiid, there's no rim protection. There's no paint, defense happening here, which means I think Orlando can take advantage of that. And while both of these teams have been a little inconsistent offensively, I get the move to the over, and I kind of agree with it because I think Orlando's going to have way more success in the paint, getting rebounds, putbacks. I think maybe the over now might be the best look in this game, as well as the side for Orlando.
And by the way, no discounts for Tyrese Maxey on his points prop here, even at Kalshi, Joe. 30-plus points. Like, hey, that's a really big night. A $100 investment pays back $189. So it feels like a little bit of that juice there where you're expecting Maxey to be great. As Joe pointed out, still dealing with a lingering finger injury. And, of course, Orlando knows he's going to be the go-to guy. We'll see what we get out tonight from the Sixers and also Tyrese Maxey. Game number 2 tonight, Joe, of the play-in. The Golden State Warriors taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. Currently trading on the Kalshi Marketplace. A 66% chance to win this game outright. That's on the Clippers. The underdog Golden State Warriors with a minutes restriction placed on the superstar Steph Curry. They're currently trading at 34 cents here, Joe, which means an underdog price if you think they win it outright. Talking about the Warriors, a $100 investment pays back, Joe, $295.
Yeah, can't go wrong here. And again, we had talked about it. We think the Clippers are the right side, but much like, well, we kind of thought that Charlotte was the right side last night, but nobody wasn't running to go lay 5.5 or 6 points here with them. And listen, to me, this is all about what happens with the Steph Curry minutes when he's on the bench. And I think guys like Santos have got to show up here tonight. And they've done a great job in his absence already this season. But I think they're going to have to be just as good here tonight. If I'm looking at anybody, though, I'm probably looking at Kawhi Leonard in a game like this. His numbers will be inflated, but he's already averaging about 28 points a game here. So I think Kawhi might be a guy to focus in on, especially if you like the Clippers tonight.
By the way, what are we going to get out of Steph Curry in this game? It's not as if it's like, hey, he just took like a day or two off here to get ready for this one. 25 points or more for Steph Curry. A $100 investment only pays back $162. You bump that up here, Joe, to 30-plus points. That's currently trading at 38 cents. That $100 investment pays back $264. But a minutes restriction means he's going to have to get hot early. And also, if he does get hot early, do they sort of extend that minutes restriction here to see if he needs to play down the stretch if they're winning that basketball game? A lot to find out tonight, but 2 games in the association with a lot on the line as we flip it over to Major League Baseball. Boston, that's the Red Sox taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Twins are actually in first place. Boston actually in last place here, but Boston today still the favorite, trading at a 54% chance to win this game. And Minnesota, Joe, currently at 46 cents as the underdog. If you think the Twins can keep their winning ways in a $100 investment, that'd pay back $218 if the Twins get it outright today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Buxton's hitting. This whole Minnesota lineup is absolutely crushing teams here, and they're hitting the long ball. They've won 4 games in a row. They've won 8 of their last 9. Is this a team that we want to step in front of here? I don't think so, but yet it's the 3rd game in a row, Donnie, where they're the dog. They're getting plus money here, and it's been a pretty good investment. I don't know why it wouldn't be a good investment here. Maybe even take that 1 run here, maybe +1 for Minnesota in the home team, but I think they got just as good a shot at winning this game because I can't trust Boston to put up enough offense here to beat anybody.
You know, you can trust right now, it's the San Diego Padres. Why? They've won 6 games in a row. Looking for lucky number 7 today. Hancock versus Vasquez on the mound today. This game is going to start at 9:40 p.m. Eastern, so staying up late. Take a look at the Kalshi marketplace right now, Joe. 50% chance here on San Diego. 50% chance here on Seattle. A true coin flip here, which one is trading at 51 cents, the other at 50 cents here, Joe. Not a lot of juice involved. Just got to pick the winner tonight between Seattle and San Diego.
And both these guys, Donnie, have been phenomenal this year. Vasquez, I don't know what's going on. He's got more velocity. He's got more movement. He has been very good this year for the Padres, and they need him. And so is Hancock, for that matter, too. So it's kind of hard for me to look at anything except, again, less runs like we have seen here, especially at Petco. This is a late game here, I believe, 9:40, 9:45 Eastern time. And this is a good pitching matchup, one in which now the bullpen of the Padres has gotten more work than the bullpen of Seattle, but that leads me still to think an under might be the best play here.
Yeah, taking a look at the pitching props, which again on the Kalshi marketplace, really simulating what you can get from a sports book here. If you figure that Emerson Hancock, the starter for the Mariners, can get 5+ strikeouts tonight, that's currently trading at only 34%. Flip it over to Randy Vasquez to get 5 or more strikeouts tonight for the Padres, currently trading at 46 cents. Both of those guys plus money to get 5 Ks or more, something to keep an eye on here. Toronto taking on Milwaukee. We just talked about the Padres, Joe, on that win streak. What happened to Milwaukee? 6-game losing streak taking on Toronto today. Toronto, the slight favorite on the Kalshi marketplace, trading at 52% to win this game. And, of course, Milwaukee at 48%. Milwaukee on a downturn right now early in the season. Can they wake up today, Joe? Toronto versus Milwaukee.
Well, you know, they lost Yelich. They've been a little beat up there, and the bullpen has not been good at all for them. So it's been a rough stretch here for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this was a game, Donnie, that was very close against Toronto yesterday until we got into the latter half in the innings and the bullpens got involved, and then, you know, it all broke loose. But I tend to think that maybe Dylan Cease has got an advantage on the mound here today for Toronto. And if the bats finally found something, I think they could very well be the right side in this game here today.
And if the bats find something, which includes Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting a home run tonight, Joe, currently only trading at 21%. So if you take a look at a $100 investment, if Vladdy goes yard, that pays back $477 here. Predictive Markets Edge, we always like to take a look at who's fading the public. Here's our poll right now. Fade the public poll here on Prediction Markets Edge on the early line deals with this, Joe. How about this question? Which team will have the most prime-time matchups this upcoming season? Seattle, Detroit, New England, and Baltimore. For me, Joe, I actually think it's Baltimore. I am going to fade the public. 0 on Baltimore? Nonsense. Give me Baltimore and Lamar Jackson in the prime time with those new unis.
Yeah, you gotta think New England is going to have its fair share of primetime games there, Donnie. Vrabel lost in the Super Bowl. Drake May. It just feels like, yes, this is a team that that the NFL loves to promote because it feels like they got Brady 2.0 right now, New England.
By the way, are we going to get any statements from the husband of Diana Rossini or the wife of Vrabel, who's been married a long time at this point, or the Patriots just going to be like, yeah, we're never going to talk about this? And when is Vrabel going to be asking or getting asked questions from the press square? You know they're going to ask right away here. That's what we're waiting on. Maybe we'll get some markets up on PME and we can talk about those. We'll be back after this short break with more to come. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Let's have some fun. It's Predictive Markets Edge on the early line. Topics, and more topics. And how about this? Tennis season just around the corner here. Major championships. How do you approach and invest your money, Joe? You could take a look at the French Open. You could take a look at Wimbledon. You could take a look at the U.S. Open and more and say to yourself, is it just a buy yes or a sell no on Carlos Alcaraz, who is the favorite in every single one of these tournaments here to be the leader and winner? So my question to you is, Carlos Alcaraz, is he going to win all of these majors? None of these majors? How do we approach this?
Listen, there's two dudes. That's it. I mean, and Alcaraz is better than Sinner on a lot of these surfaces, and we know this. So you'd be hard-pressed to find any situation with any major coming up in any tennis tournament where Alcaraz and Sinner aren't going to be your two likely guys. Maybe Novak sneaks in here or there, but he's already proven he can't beat Alcaraz. So, yeah, I would not bet against either of those two guys there winning just about everything here in tennis.
All three of these up on Polymarket. Alcaraz is 41% chance as a chance to win the men's French Open. Then you take a look at Wimbledon. It's actually even, Joe, currently 35% and 35% between Sinner and Alcaraz. And then we flip it over to the U.S. Open, which goes back to the hard court. Alcaraz is the favorite at 39% and Yannick Sinner at 35% here. Let's flip it over to the NFL. And also, as they told you in the press, hey, before the Super Bowl, Seattle's going to be up for sale. Seattle's ownership says, no, we're not up for sale. The minute they won the Super Bowl, oh, by the way, we are up for sale here. That's Paul Allen's family going to sell the Seahawks and basically give the entire proceeds away to charity. The question, though, is who's going to buy the Seahawks? Top dog listed, Larry Ellison at 56% trading on Polymarket, followed by Steve Ballmer. How much money does he have? He's already the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, and he could buy a few more pro sports teams and still have a ton of money still left in his pocket. Jeff Bezos, Amazon here. When's he getting into the mix? Those are the top three here, Joe, that we have listed at Polymarket.
How is Marshawn Lynch trading at 45 cents to the yes?
$27 invested, Joe, on that guy.
Nope. No. Marshawn Lynch, not going to happen. LeBron, not going to happen. Macklemore, I think, is hilarious, too, in this, Mario. People, good. Nobody put any money on that. Yeah, Ellison appears to be the front runner there, or some conglomerate thereof, Donnie. But yeah, listen, chances are there's a very short list of people that the NFL owners would agree should own a team, and you got to be able to play ball with them. And I think Ellison and Ballmer are two guys right up at the top of the list there.
You know what's funny about this too? Like, we always hear about like Jeff Bezos and the Amazon money. Like, it's something like you have to, it's one thing, Joe, and here's what Joe's pointing out. It's a good old boys network there. You can offer 7 times the amount of the team. If they don't like you as an owner, they're not going to agree that that sale is going to go through, regardless of what Daniel Snyder wanted or not in those previous go-arounds. But it is kind of interesting where it's like, if you are an owner, like, wait a second, like my franchise is worth $7 billion. Bezos is going to offer me $18 billion. Yes, I want to sell to him. Like, that's how much money Bezos has. But again, it has to be agreed to by a majority of the owners. And if they don't like you, they don't care how much. It's like Mark Cuban was never able to get into the NFL because they didn't want somebody that boisterous buying in when he probably would have been a good owner and had clearly enough funds to buy a team over the past couple years. You got to crack into that network and be nice to everybody, Joe, and that's what matters in that market. I'll tell you what doesn't matter in being a first-team all-selection in the NBA is you better play yourself 65 games at this point, and you better get yourself on that court. 99% Jokic, 99% Wembanyama, followed by Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic, and Kawhi Leonard. Now, Luka's trading at 57%. Are they hoping that, I guess, that gets overturned, Joe, and they let the Luka rule happen where it's unfair that he was one game short because he got injured?
Yeah, exactly correct. You better be I don't know that I'd be hoping on that because I don't know that that's what we're going to see here. But he's up at the top of the leaderboard. But there are some other guys that you got to figure, right, that are going to absolutely be there. Like, how is Kawhi not there? Like, there are some guys, I think, Donnie, the leftovers that might have some value here when it's all said and done. But we got to stop with the whole Luka thing. You guys agreed to the rule. It is what it is. I can't see them making exceptions at this particular point.
And by the way, you can't make the exception. Like, if you want to change the rule next year, do it. But
No.
I'm looking right now, Joe and Kalshi, $100 investment to the no contract on Luka Doncic being a first-team all-selection pays back $223. So unless they do that in overtime, where people going to sue like
Yep.
last year, or the year before at this point? Stop the madness at this point. He can't get it. The rules are the rules here, Joe. Pro basketball finals matchup here. OKC Boston, currently trading as the favorite at a 26% chance here, followed by Oklahoma City and Cleveland here at a 12% chance, San Antonio and Boston, and so forth and so forth. Boston is not the top seed in the East. Oklahoma City is the top seed in the West. So a 1 versus 2 matchup is what the anticipation here is in the predictive markets, Joe.
So, I mean, listen, it's not as easy as just, pencil them through. They're going to make it.
Yeah.
No, I think Denver has got a real shot at this again this year, Donnie. I'd be hard-pressed in a 7-game series to think you're just going to walk right through them. And I don't care. San Antonio is going to have to finally do something they couldn't do the last game of the year, and that's beat Denver. But they're going to have to beat them in a series, and I don't know that that's happening.
What happened yesterday when we were talking about Atlanta being in the finals here as one of those popular matchups? Maybe just a programmer having some fun with the people out here. But how about the finals MVP winner, Joe? The favorite by a wide margin.
Yes.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 42%. Why? The expectations that Oklahoma City wins it. Therefore, the best player on the team does get the MVP. Followed closely, not really, only 18% by Victor Wembanyama and Nikola Jokic at 9%. I know you got your eye on Jokic down there, Joe.
Absolutely. And listen, if you think Boston is the team coming from the East, then you'd be crazy not to look at Jaylen Brown as well at 7-8 cents right now. So, yeah, this is a correlated market here. You got to be in it to win it, right? So whoever can get to the finals, whatever teams you think that is, the MVP nod. SGA does not excite me at 42 cents, Donnie.
I got to tell you, like, the number 1 overall seed in the East, Joe, is the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham is trading at 5% right now, which means a $100 investment pays back $2,000 on the best player on the number 1 seed in the East. That's something that maybe doesn't need to get to the finals, but just the Eastern Conference Finals. And that ticket goes from 5% to 8% to 10% and can already be profitable. They make it into the finals, that jumps to 25, 35, 45%, depending on what those finals prices would be at this point. Something to keep an eye on here. And that's what we do on prediction markets right here on the early line. Fun, profitability, and a stock market approach. It's all wrapped into one, people. We'll be right back after this break. Womp, 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 womp.
Not all these kids, but the majority of these kids in the top 10 have had things handed to them since they're in 3rd grade because they're special athletically. And the fact that they get humbled a little bit, I'm here for the humbling. I've been humbled. I like when other people get humbled.
But you were humbled later. You weren't humbled at 22 in front of the world.
No.
You were a grown-ass man.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
For those people who use YouTube, there's a new feature that is powered by AI. And what is this exactly, Simon?
So let's say you're watching Yankees highlights, and you can say, YouTube, when is the next game at Yankee Stadium? You see that information on the screen. How much is the cost? What seats are available? You see that information on the screen. All right, call the Yankee Stadium box office. I want to make a reservation for 2 tickets.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Team feels slow, it feels old, it feels uninteresting. It just kind of feels like a lot of guys who are quality ball players, some big contracts, but are just like lethargic when they're out there. Like Manny Machado moves in slow motion, so does Nick Castellanos, so does Xander Bogaerts, so do a lot of these players in this lineup. And I might be piling on a little bit too deep, but this was supposed to be a contender for a World Series.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
We may be talking about this as one of the best divisions in baseball. It's not generally something we do, but if the Pirates just hold court and the Reds just hold court and the Cubs are in this thing, the Brewers are going to be there in the end too. I mean, that's 4 of the 5 teams. I do think the Cardinals are going to push back at some point, to fall back a little bit, but I got 4 teams with a possibility of making the postseason here, Donnie.
pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
Prediction Markets Edge on the early line on a Wednesday hump day here. Let's flip it over to some Major League Baseball, Joe. We know it's early in the season. Heck, it's only the 15th of April here. We got May, June, July, August, September, and into October to go. But how about this question? Pro Baseball hits leader. Who's it going to be? Xavier Edwards, Joe. Currently trading at the top of the standings at 23%. Yes, even over Bobby Witt Jr. If I look at the hits leaders right now, Pages, Simpson, Nimmo, Diaz, and Adele with Pages with 25 hits. But Xavier Edwards, Miami Marlins style, Joe, 23% chance. How about that? Yeah, Louis.
They can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. And then you're going to get guys like Bobby Witt Jr., whose ballpark, by the way, is now moved in, right? The fence is a little easier maybe to get a little pop in the bat there. And, yeah, I think Bobby Witt Jr., especially at 18 cents right now, wouldn't shock me if this gets to 35, 40 cents before we get to the summer.
And by the way, interesting in these trading markets here, Joe, that we look at, because I just told you Xavier Edwards has a 23% chance to win this. Do you know that his contract, though, is only 7 cents, which means a $100 investment would pay back $1,429. If you look at Bobby Witt Jr., he's trading at 18% as a chance, and his contract actually is 18 cents. So that's even up. So maybe you can get some of those extreme values there if you could pick some of these guys out that you think can win. Pro Baseball steals leader. Currently listed right now, Jose Ramirez. You would never think about that with 8 steals to start the season, and Bobby Witt Jr. with 8 as well. And also Jacob Marcy, Miami Marlins here. But the question is, who's actually going to be the leader at the end of the season? Chandler Simpson for Tampa Bay. Dude can run. Currently trading at 37% as a chance to get this done, Joe.
Very hard to look at anybody here but Chandler Simpson. I mean, although, Ellie De La Cruz, too, is another guy that if he's on base, but he strikes out too much here. I think Simpson up at the top, yeah, he can certainly beat out his own fair share of, ground balls and those types of things. So the guy is a Yankee killer, I'll tell you that. Every time he's on base, it's a double, and it feels like that's the guy. Even and at 40 cents this early on, I think there's a reason why he is there. But don't count out, I think Corbin Carroll's an interesting guy, too, as well.
How about this, Joe? Pro Baseball wins leader. We're at April 15th. Not a ton of starts right now. There's one guy with 4 wins in Major League Baseball. Do you know who that possibly is?
With 4 wins? Interesting.
Yes.
Who's got 4 wins already? Because it ain't Scuba, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we had a graphic up early this week. This guy's been dominant. Jose Soriano, Los Angeles Angels, 4 wins here, leading the way with a multitude of people with 3, Joe. And your guy, Jeffrey Springs, there, sitting with 3. But, as we know, the cream will rise to the top throughout the summer and into the early fall months. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the favorite, at 17% as a chance. Then Crochet and Kirby and Scooble and Schlittler and Skeens right behind him here. Feels like Yamamoto probably should be like undefeated by the end of the season. So no surprise that a Dodger is leading the way here, Joe.
Yeah, that should not shock anybody here. And, why not Ohtani, too? You might as well throw him in there. I thought Wu would be a good spot, but my goodness, they couldn't hit for him. And that's the other problem with some of these teams is that, you need the team to actually score some runs, give you some run support here. I think Scooble will eventually win just about every game from this point on, get it out early. Same thing with Crochet. But it feels like maybe even, and am I nuts here to think that Paul Skeens could be your wins leader when it's all said and done?
Could be a possibility at that point, Joe. And you slide it down, there's so many other topics you can have, like doubles leader, home runs leader. I know it's early there, but if we do skip down to the home run leading market here, is it just so simple to say, of course, it's going to be Aaron Judge, Joe?
It's going to be one or the other. I'll tell you who it's not going to be. It ain't going to be Cal Raleigh. I'll tell you that. But it feels like it's going to be either Ohtani or Judge, right? Once again. But what about your boy Schwarber, man? Do we have enough? We got enough juice left, do you think? Do we have enough confidence that he's certainly going to have enough at bats up at the top of the order still?
By the way, there's also other markets that you can look at on cash, like 50-plus home run season, which is probably going to take 50-plus to win this market, which means you can have multiple winners here. Ohtani is actually the leader at 37 cents, and Aaron Judge follows him closely at 36, and Schwarber at 26, Joe. Let me ask you this question. Could we get 3 50-plus home run guys this year in 2026?
Would not shock me at all. Would not shock me. It's not as far-fetched as one might think with the guys we're talking about right now anyway.
Even down to Eugenio Suarez there at 11%. Can we make it happen? We'll certainly find out. But that'll do it for today's edition of Prediction Markets Edge on the Early Line. For Donnie Redstead and Joe Ranieri, we'll see you tomorrow once again.